What's up, Broncos fans? Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown. I'm your host, Matthew Peterson, and on today's show, we're going to cover the latest injury news, the Broncos injury report heading into Week 9 against the Dallas Cowboys, where Denver is going to be likely without 2 starters, potentially 3, due to the latest injury news trickling out of Mile High. So, with that being said, here's what a Broncos media personnel had to say on Twitter. Eric Delilah, Vic Fangio said Bryce Callahan will go on IR. Garett Bolles will miss some time, but won't go on IR. So, it looks like the Broncos are absolutely without 2 starters. We'll get to the third later on, but first, the Callahan story. This has been a tough one. It's been of a heartstring puller because he's been so promising and so effective when he's on the field. That's the issue. On the field. He's expected to miss about 8 weeks. The Broncos luckily don't believe surgery is required on that knee injury he sustained in Week 8 against Washington, but you can never rule it out, unfortunately. But the story for Callahan has been a lack of availability. Since being signed to the team back in 2019, he has played in just 18 of 40 games so far. Missed all of his first year. It's been tough to remember, frankly, when he's been able to stay on the field. So for Callahan, unfortunately, another tough story, another bump in the road for him. Wishing the quick recovery. So head on down to the comments. Hopefully we can see Callahan back on the field sooner rather than later. And while you're down in the comment section, how about you go ahead and hit that big red button and subscribe to the channel. Help us reach 4,400. Number 44, the number of the great late Floyd Little, a Broncos legend, a Hall of Famer from the late 60s, early 70s, a running machine. Help us get over 4,400 subscribers. Do it for Floyd. Right now, subscribe. Be the one that gets us across that threshold. Come join the best place to get the latest Broncos news and rumors all year long. So, going back to that depth chart conversation, though, what do the Broncos do now at this spot? Well, looks like Callahan's out. He's going to be on IR for a couple of weeks. Minimum 3, probably longer than that. Fuller is expected to kind of move over to that CB3 spot and take over for him. And then you have Hairston covering up and kind of joining Floyd. I mean, overall, injuries just suck, okay? And what's even more interesting about this one is the Broncos knew this move was coming when they traded away Kerry Vincent Jr. to the Eagles yesterday. So it just kind of popped in my head. A bit of a bold decision, but we do have some good news on the injury front at this position. So looking at my notes here, Broncos expecting the corner Bassi to return. Haven't seen him in quite some time after going out with an injury very early in the year. But no Michael Ojemudia just yet. So hopefully Denver can get some reinforcements on that front because they really need it. Not only are the injuries bad, look at the grades so far from these players. It has not been a promising start for these guys after what was supposed to be one of the best secondaries in the NFL. So these are the Pro Football Focus overall grades. I read into them a decent amount, but not a ton. But I think they're a good bench point, okay? What you see right there, Callahan is the number 1 corner so far in the Broncos this year. He ranks 63 out of 116. That's not what you want your number 1 guy to be. 63rd out of 116, and there you see Kyle Fuller nearly in dead last. So the Broncos, they get a tough one here as they lose their top guy overall in that cornerback position. With that said, is Patrick Surtain the face of this defense now? Not because of Callahan's injury, but because of the Von Miller trade, the lack of availability throughout Nick Chubb's career, and as of late too. It makes you wonder, when you draft a guy 9th overall, you can expect him to one day be, hopefully, the face of the defense. What I want to know is he the face of the defense now? Y for yes, N for no. I'll make this the pinned comment. If you get hit with the YouTube ad break, go on down, scroll, and reply. Moving on. BetUS, our sportsbook partner, has great deals for you guys. Don't miss out. Don't be the guy that misses betting on BetUS, where you can get a 125% deposit bonus, and all you got to do is use the link at the bottom of your screen, chatsports.com/bet. Then, when you're signing up, plug in the promo code Broncos125 and join me in printing out U.S. currency every single Sunday, okay? Last Sunday, I bet on no team to score 3 unanswered times between the Broncos and the Washington football team. easy cheddar. Join me. I'll post my picks. Follow me on Twitter at Matthew Petey, and that way you can stay in the know all season long about some of the great picks I'm putting out. Well, great's a strong word, but I try to do a great job at my picks. So check out our sportsbook partner, BetUS, and use those 2 steps to get a 125% deposit bonus. Moving on to another injury front, Garett Bolles, the left tackle for the Broncos. He suffered an ankle injury in Week 8 against Washington. Now, the good news for Bolles is they don't expect him to go on IR, but he is expected to miss Week 9. So that's promising, because if you go on IR, if you're going to miss at least 3 weeks, you might as well, because a minimum stint on IR is 3 weeks. So hopefully this means that it's just a 1-week injury and he's back in Week 10. And with that being said, Calvin Anderson, kind of the swing tackle after losing the job to Bobby Massey in the preseason, is going to take his spot. So check out the depth chart here. Anderson's just going to slot up and take over that left tackle spot, and the rest will stay as put as this Broncos offensive line gets set to take on, I don't know, a tough-ish kind of defense in the Dallas Cowboys. Got their kind of front 4 stats right there. Sacks, they have 12 so far in the season. That's only 29th best. Well, only. That's tied for 29th in the NFL. QB hits at 48. That's 10th best. Hurries, 24.4%. 8.9%. That's 26. And pressures, 24.4%. And that is 17th overall in the NFL. With that all said, now what I want to get to is talking about Bolles in a bigger sense of things. The Broncos, after a couple of trades, they've got a nice stockpile of picks. Picked up another 2nd and a 3rd in the Von Miller trade, and it looks like GM George Paton, he's going to be actively looking for a new quarterback after this season. It's clear it's not Bridgewater or Locke for the long haul. And with all these picks right here, makes you wonder if Denver's going to make a big push to go get someone like Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. If that's the case, it's going to require more than draft picks, I would assume, to get one of those kind of guys. And I think Bolles is a name that could definitely be talked into trade talks. What I want to know from you is, would you be willing to include your starting left tackle in a QB trade package? 1 for yes or 2 for no. It's going to cost more than draft picks, I would assume, to get Rodgers or Wilson from their respective teams. You're going to have to toss in a starter, and it can't be a flimsy one. Guys, this isn't a crappy fantasy football trade that's going to have to take place. You're going to have to put some meat and potatoes into this trade, and it'll cost more than picks, I would assume, like a starting left tackle or Jerry Jeudy or Bradley Chubb. That's just the reality of this situation. So let me know if you would do this trade. You guys are the GM. For me, you got to make a few breaks. Got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. As words have been a little tough today, but what I'm getting at is you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. You got to toss in some incentives. You got to toss in a couple sweeteners here and there, and a starting left tackle who is good, but he's had some shaky points in his career so far in Denver. Penalties were a huge issue from him early on. He's kind of grown past that, but still, whether it's Green Bay or Seattle, whoever the new quarterback is, if they trade for a new one, they're going to want this new guy to step in and have something to work with. Whether it's a wide receiver or a nice anchor of a left tackle, I think Garett Bolles makes a little sense there. But this is a talk for later, but I just wanted to gauge the fan base a little bit earlier on about where they stand on this topic. Other injury, kind of related stuff here. Noah Fant, he was placed on the reserve/COVID-19 list earlier this week and likely will not be able to play just because of the timeliness of things in Week 9 against the Cowboys. Because if you're unvaccinated, like, say, Aaron Rodgers is, you have to miss at least 10 days in isolation. No ifs, ands, nors, or buts. And so if that's the case for Fant, no way he's playing in Week 9 against the Cowboys. If it's a false positive and he gets 2 negative tests, I think it's 24 hours apart, then he's got a long shot playing. It's just not likely. A lot of things have to go his way. For a player that has been ascending as of lately, has been a big target for Bridgewater as of late, 320 yards, 3 touchdowns, and frankly, this Broncos offense needs all the help it's going to get because it has been the number 1 cause of hair loss in Denver so far. It's been tough to watch. That's no secret. So, with no Noah Fant likely, here's the tight end depth chart. You got Big Al O behind him. They get him back from injury lately. And then you got Saubert and Beck, who Beck's more of a fullback than a tight end anyway. It'll be a tough day, I think, for Bridgewater if he wants to connect with the tight end up the seam. But maybe Allo can have a big breakout game. You never know. But what I do want to know from you guys is predict the score for me. Broncos and Cowboys. Let me know who you got, who's winning. Head on down to the comments section. Let me know. I'll give you my score prediction. I'm going to take the Cowboys over the Broncos in this one. It just seems too tough for me for Denver to go on the road and beat a 7-1 Cowboys team that just won on the road on Sunday Night Football with a backup quarterback any given Sunday. But I'm going to take the Cowboys over the Broncos 30-17, and maybe that's not even enough.